Hello everyone, in today's episode we'll give you some tips and recommendations you need to keep in mind before coming to Istanbul. The weather in Istanbul can be very diverse. For example, during the summer in Istanbul, which covers from the months from June to middle of September, the weather in here can be very hot. We can reach 31 to 35 degrees at the most, but the problem is that it will be very humid. That is why we recommend to have enough water with you if you're coming during those months, and of course wear very light clothes. When it comes to the winter months, which cover from November to the middle of March, the weather in here won't be too cold as compared to many other European cities. But the fact of being surrounded by many seas here in Istanbul, that will make it a bit colder than expected. And of course, it will be very rainy. That is why we recommend you to bring rainy coats and rainy shoes so you will be prepared. Sometimes it might be snowy, but that snow will melt by the end of the day. So don't worry that, oh, it will be very snowy. No, it won't. And probably the lowest degree that in Istanbul we may reach during the winter season will be 0 degrees. Many people are concerned about what month is the best to come and visit Istanbul or in general Turkey. Well, everything depends on what you are looking for. So it might be during the winter season or the summer season. In my personal opinion, since I hate hot weather and also so much cold, that is why my favorite months are between April and probably the beginning of June, as well October and September. Those are my favorite months. Plus, don't forget that also in April we have this famous tulip festival, and all the city will be so colorful and very photogenic. So if you ask me for that, April or May. Depending on the type of travel you are doing here in Istanbul, I have 3 main areas that I recommend staying at. The number 1 will be Sultanahmet, Sirkeci, Eminönü, Laleli, Beyazıt. All these areas are covering the old part of Istanbul, and here you will find all the historical places, and this one is perfect for families and to all of those who would like to be as close as possible. The other area I would recommend will be Taksim or Istiklal Street. In this street, you will find a much more vibrant environment and a good nightlife experience. Here during the day, you will find lots of shops where you can buy food, Turkish delights, even clothes. But at night, you will find a lot of pubs, bars, and nightclubs. This is why if you're coming with a family, I wouldn't recommend staying in this area. And to all those who are looking for a quiet place. But if you're looking for any type of those experiences, then this is the perfect place for you. But if you want to stay in a quiet area, but also near Taksim, then in that way, I would recommend you looking around the Galata Tower. That is a perfect place and quiet as well. The third area I would recommend staying at, it's called Kadıköy. But Kadıköy, it's on the Asian side of Istanbul. And this is why the prices will be much more accessible than the other 2 I previously mentioned. Here, don't worry, because this area is very well connected by ferry and even the Marmaray, which is a train that goes under the Bosphorus to get to the old part of Istanbul. And if you take the ferry, it will only take you 20 minutes to get there. So if you want to find a more local environment and a bit of a hipster, then I totally recommend you Kadıköy. Many people, when they come to Istanbul, especially women, they are concerned about what type of clothes they can wear in here. To be honest, don't worry. You can wear anything you want, and you don't have to cover your hair or your body unless you visit a mosque. For example, here in Turkey, especially the Turkish women, they have a very good fashion style, and most of them, they dress up as in many other Western countries. If you need to exchange money in Istanbul, we totally recommend you doing it inside the Grand Bazaar or at some exchange offices around Taksim, but never do it at the airport. Just at the airport, you can exchange a few amount of money so you can get yourself from the airport to the city center. But otherwise, don't exchange all your money in there because the rates are very bad. If you would like to move within in Istanbul, we totally recommend you doing it with the public transportation. The public transportation in Istanbul is quite easy and affordable. Many people, they get afraid and scared because they said, oh, Istanbul is a huge city, I will get lost. That is totally normal. But don't worry, we already have 2 videos about that. First, what car do we need for the public transportation? And secondly, how to use the transportation here in Turkey. For that, we will leave the links below in the description box. Now, if you want to use the taxi, please don't do it on the streets because they will steal your money and they will charge you 3 or 4 times more than you should. And also, they will take you through the longest ways. Instead, we recommend you 2 apps for that. The number 1 will be Beat Taxi. In these ones, you can choose a taxi and even you can pay online or directly on the cab. So some of them, they have for the card. And secondly, we recommend you Uber. But the Uber is not working as in any other European countries. Instead, you will have to choose between a yellow cab or a blue cab, and you will also see the rates there. For having internet services here in Istanbul and generally in Turkey, then for that we recommend you 3 companies. The first one will be Turkcell, then Vodafone, and then Turk Telecom. For all those, you can find them either at the airport or at the most touristic areas, and the prices will range in between 80 and 120 Turkish liras. When you're in areas such as Taksim or Sultanahmet, you need to be very careful there, especially with the people who might try to approach you in a very friendly way. For example, when you're in Sultanahmet, some people might invite you to have a tea with them, but afterwards they will try to take you to their store in order to buy something from there. But the worst one takes place in Taksim, especially to men and to those traveling solo. For example, you're just walking and then another guy will try to approach you to invite you one beer or drinks in some pub or bar, and then you will accept that. But afterwards, when you receive the bill, you will see that you have to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and you can imagine what comes next. So please be careful with that. Now, if you want to go from one city to another in Turkey, we totally recommend you these 3 options. The first one will be by bus. For example, I'm a person who loves traveling in Turkey by bus. So for that, I totally recommend you these 2 bus companies, which are KAMİL. Those ones will have most of the routes in Turkey. And secondly, if you want to do specifically the route Istanbul, Cappadocia or Cappadocia, Istanbul, NEVŞEHIR, SEYEHAT. That one has great prices and also wonderful services. Secondly, if you want to take a plane to any other city, we recommend you the low-cost airline, which is called PEGASUS Airlines. And that one only departs from the airport on the Asian side of Istanbul, which is called Sabiha Gökçen. But also they have these bus services, which is called Hababus, and they depart from Taksim and they take you all the way to the airport. Or the other one, depending on the route that you want to go, they have you can take the train. For example, from Istanbul, you can go Istanbul-Ankara or Istanbul-Konya. Or if you are in Izmir, you can take Izmir-Selçuk, where the FS is, or Izmir-Pamukkale. The power plugs and sockets in Turkey, they are type F. The standard voltage is 220 and the standard frequency is 50 Hz. If your electronic devices are between 220 and 240 volts, you can use them here with no problem, such as countries in Europe, in the UK, Africa, and Asia. But if you're coming from the countries such as the USA, Canada, Mexico, or South American countries, then you will need a converter because the standard voltage in there is between 100 and 127 volts. Thanks a lot for watching our video, and if you would like to keep receiving more tips and recommendations from locals, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye bye!